Welkom bij de Software Captains podcast. Software Captains inspireert CTO's en engineering managers. We helpen hen te groeien in hun job. In de Software Captains podcast laten we CTO's en mensen die met CTO's werken aan het woord over de uitdagingen die een CTO tegenkomt. Veel luisterplezier.
Hi Mina, welcome to the Software Captains podcast. We've talked some time before this podcast. I think you have a lot to talk about the role of CTO, and that's really what I wanted to talk with you about today. There's a lot of aspects that we can cover, but first I would like to invite you to tell the people in the podcast, to the listeners, who are you, what do you do?
Yes, first, hello, Tom, and thank you for having me in this nice podcast. I really like to talk about tech and many other things. So, as you said, my full name is Mina Bostro Nakicenovic. I have two last names, since I originally come from Serbia, but I've been living in Sweden for more than 20 years. I have been working with the software development for more than 20 years also. What is interesting for my career, I worked for a pretty long part on deep technical side as a developer and a software architect, maybe for 15 years. But then I switched to the managerial path because I wanted to have more influence on the future of the company. I worked mainly in the fintech industry, then in gaming industry, and now I'm in aviation. So I work as a Chief Technology Officer at Flightradar24. And if you haven't heard, it's one of the most interesting companies in the world from my perspective. But I will tell you more about our business and what do we do and our technical solution.
Yeah, I know the application Flightradar24 from the visualization of the airplanes in the air. That's about it, I think. That's what I know about it. I guess you do a lot more than that. But, okay.
Yes, exactly. So we are a real-time air traffic tracker. But what people don't know, apart from like presenting the data and all live flights, we are also collecting all this data. So apart from developing software, we have also hardware teams who are designing our small hardware device called receiver, and together with the antennas, we have those receivers all over the world. So we are collecting the ADS-B aviation data by ourselves, doing very advanced processing, validation of data, and then it's voila, presenting all flights on the website and on our mobile apps. So we have 40,000 of receivers all over the world. We have 4 million daily users, and we are tracking 70 million flights per year.
I wasn't aware about the hardware part. It's amazing. Yeah, okay, great.
So it's a lot of data that we are handling. Yes.
Yeah, I guess so. So your role is to be the CTO. What does that mean in your company?
Yes, maybe I can say what it means in my company, but generally how I see on the CTO role in general. Or maybe we can start first with the general definition of CTO. First, I think that the name itself is not a very good name, Chief Technology Officer, because how I see on that, CTO should be responsible for the whole end-to-end software development life cycle. So it's much broader than just a technological choice and choices of technology. CTO is responsible to assure that there is a technology strategy, some tech vision, what we are aiming for to achieve within the company. Also to have the ability to break down that technical strategy to the reachable goals so that all teams can understand how they contribute to that technical strategy. And also, since I mentioned the software development life cycle and software development process, for me, there are three important parts that every CTO or tech manager should think about Of course, it's technology, but then it's a business or product and also leadership. And what is interesting, those three areas are not completely independent. They intersect with each other. So that's why it's so important to think about your tech strategy, how you align that with the product strategy, with the company strategy, and all other things that can be found in these intersections. Of course, CTO, because it's the role, it assumes the highest technical manager position within the company. CTO responsibility should be also to help people to see the big picture, big technology picture, not only from their team or department perspective, and also to show to them or to guide them to choose such technological solution or architectural design, which is best from the company perspective, not only from their team perspective. And I saw from my experience, there are a lot of situations when teams are looking just from their small perspective and are saying, oh, we are going to design architecture in this way, or we are going to choose this technology is the best for us. Yes, maybe it's best for them, but not from the company perspective, because it means maybe that you will introduce another technology within the company that you need to maintain, or maybe it does not align with the high-level target architecture. So all those things are important part and responsibilities of one CTO. And I feel also at my company, it's the similar.
Okay, and so that's what you do in your company also. Has that evolved in the last couple of years? The role of CTO, does that evolve? I guess that when you started, the company was a bit smaller. Now it's grown a bit. Has that any influence on your job?
Yes, definitely. And now I'm not talking just from my current company's perspective, but also from many different companies where I worked at and what I saw. So first, when I mentioned that there are those three important circles, technology, business, and leadership, and that, like, although you're responsible for tech solutions and software architecture, when you are coming to the higher managerial positions, you are working much more in those intersections of those domains, not only in pure technology domain or pure leadership or pure business and so on. So when you are higher up on that leadership stairs, your responsibility is moving from the just being responsible for one domain to being in that intersections and to monitor two different domains and how they intersect each other or has an influence on each other. I will give one example. For example, from my perspective, of course, everything is from my perspective, intersection between technology and business, it's that monitoring the gap between strategic solutions and tactical solutions. So maybe a company decides we are going there, they put a company strategy and company vision. So from there, you develop product strategy and tech strategy. But along the way, you are applying a lot of strategic solutions, but then company decides, oh, just for this customer, we are going to do differently, or just for this market, we are going to do differently. So along the way, you are applying a lot of tactical solutions, which will result in one-offs in your software architecture and will create a future tech debt and long-term costs. So one important responsibility is not only designing the architecture, but also thinking about that balance between strategic and tactical solutions. And of course, all companies need to apply also those tactical solutions, one-offs in certain situations. But the responsibility is to monitor, not to apply too much, so that that gap between strategy and tactical solution does not become too big.
Did you see that? There were a lot of balloons.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Maybe it means that I said the correct things.
Yeah, I guess so. No, I don't know what happened there. I'm sorry.
Yes. And then there is another perspective also, what I saw with the development of tech managers within the companies, especially if the company was smaller at the beginning and developed and becomes bigger and bigger. So maybe once upon a time, you led just one team, and then a company develops, engineering department develops, all of a sudden you are leading several teams, or you become a leader of other leaders, and so on. I think it's so important to think that leadership skills that requires on each those levels are completely different. The way how you lead one team, and maybe you were the best lead developer or tech lead within the team, and that's why you got a role to lead one engineering team. But you are still pretty technical, maybe working part-time as a developer or architect. But all of a sudden, when you do that shift and become a leader of leaders, you need to change your leadership styles. You need to focus on some other things. I saw that many people failed in that shift because they believe everything that led me to this role, to become a manager, I should just continue doing that and it's going to be fine. But it's not. And there is one very nice book with the title, What Got You Here Won't Get You There. So you need to think for each next level in your leadership pipeline, or for each new level of a company maturity, you need to think, aha, now we are in this position or these situations. Which leadership skills are required from me in order to be able to lead those teams or this department and so on. And also I used to, it's not only because I work in aviation, but I use a very nice metaphor with being a good helicopter pilot, because helicopter has that ability to quickly change the altitude. So if you are on the sea level, you need to have ability to see the big picture, but then also quickly go down, understand your team's needs, challenges, but also quickly go up, that you don't get stuck in the details. Or also, it's not good if you're stuck just on the visionary level and dreaming about nice things, but don't think about the reality.
It's a nice analogy, because I hear that being a helicopter pilot is very difficult, because there's a lot of things that you have, the levers and gauges that you have to keep in balance all the time. It's, okay.
Yes,
nice.
Exactly. And we can broaden also like that metaphor. Also, it's not only that vertical changing the altitude, but I really believe that all people, not only CTOs, but all people that are on C-level positions should be very curious and should also travel and trying to explore new territories and new domains. Don't focus only for the one domain like technology and so on. So it's really like being a good helicopter pilot, both up and down, and when you have some free time to explore some new territories and domains.
Does the CTO ever have free time? No. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, you talked a bit about the leadership and the challenges in leadership. You also said in the beginning, you said something about, you have to align business and technology. How do you do that? Is that just you sit there and you wait until business comes and tell you what to do and what to execute, or how does it work?
No, from my perspective, I think that those things should be done together, so that people should work together, and to think all the time about those three W's: why, what, and how. In fact, it's not the third one is not W. Yes. So that first company needs to decide from a high-level perspective why we are here, what is our vision and mission, and those high-level goals from the company business perspective. Then product people should answer on which products should we develop in order that we reach that high-level vision. And then comes technology, how. But of course, those things, as I said, intersect, and we need to work together hand in hand. So if you take a look at that C-level leadership team, so I would say first, CTO and Chief Product Officer really need to work closely together, and all the time defining the products, but also investigating, do we have technical capabilities to develop those products? Because if we take some examples, when people didn't work together, it happened that companies had great business ideas and were thinking, but weren't aware about technical capabilities. Are we capable in order to develop those products? So although the products were innovative, it was perfect fit on the market, they failed because they didn't have a required technical capabilities to go there. So that's why I think it's so important to work all together. So all the time to question, okay, maybe we start first from exploring the markets, trying to find a market niche, blue ocean, what we should do, but also all the time checking with tech. And I know also I saw at some companies who don't experience themselves as a pure engineering companies. For example, there are a lot of examples in video games industry or media industries that they feel we are storytellers or we are like doing content, like technology is just a support function. If you develop software, you know, it's such a big part. It's so important to double check, do we have technical capabilities in order to deliver those products that we came up with?
Yeah, I think that's one part of the equation. The other part is probably, about cost also. Sometimes you want to develop something, but it's not only are you capable of doing it, but also how much does it cost? Because if it's something that's cheap, then maybe we'll do it. If something that's very expensive, then maybe we won't do it.
Yes, exactly. And there is also another very important perspective, like development costs versus revenue that it creates. If like revenue is bigger than development cost, then it's fine. But if you see that the balance is vice versa, if it would cost us much more than it creates a value, then maybe it's not worth doing that. Or maybe we can find another more like simpler solution or change a little bit that core value proposition or feature or whatever we work with.
Yeah, I think that's very important for the CTO to know that, to understand that. And to talk with the other people in how that equation works for them and how that balance works for them. I've got another question. Maybe it's a whole other direction, but I know as a CTO, you've been a developer yourself. I think most CTOs have been developers sooner or later in their career. So when they see a problem, they tend to start programming. So when they become a CTO, they see a problem, they want to say that to their team, start programming. Is that the right solution for everything?
No, I don't think so. I think it's also what I believe when we are talking about leadership, it's something that is called leadership by intent. So the goal is that you define the wanted outcome, what you want from team to deliver, but they're specialists within their domains. So they will come up with the best strategies or solution how to deliver those outcomes. And also regarding that coding challenge, I think fortunately technology is changing so quickly. So if you stopped coding like a couple of years ago, it has changed so much that fortunately you cannot help from that perspective. But I really feel that coding is not the right solution, but what a tech manager or CTO can help with, it's like more with architecturing or helping teams to see the big target architecture and the big picture. So from that perspective, I would say, yes, CTO should be involved to assure that we have a good solution design and the target architecture, and like how it feels, the general architecture. But coding, it's not because of the coding. I don't think so that we help other people by doing things instead of them. We need to coach them, to help them with the right questions, right guidelines or coaching, that they learn how they solve the problem.
Yeah. And do you think that every problem that gets thrown at the development team or at the technical team should be solved by coding? In your opinion, is there... the question is a bit about how do you decide that there are always things that you can buy also from the market? And you have a CRM system maybe, or something, maybe you buy that, or sometimes you develop that yourself. How do you make that decision?
Yes, it's a very good question. And I also have my strong opinions from my experience and seeing what other companies were doing and so on. So first, before I answer that question, I would like to say that in order to answer that question, CTO needs to understand the business. Why? Because if you understand the business, you will understand what are your core value proposition or what are your competitive advantage. I strongly believe that each company should develop things that are their core value proposition or competitive advantage. Everything else that is, as you say, CRM system, payment system, multiplayer platform, or all other things like, if it is not your core value product, it's better that you just buy from someone who is specialist on that, and then you spend the time, energy in developing something that is unique for yourself. There is one interesting phenomenon that is much more about psychology than technology that I've noticed at a couple of companies. When a company like starts and find a good product, and when it becomes successful, so at the beginning, usually you are focused on your core value proposition and your unique products. But when you become successful as a company, there are many companies that feel, I think really it's some psychologically that happens, you feel, I can do everything that I want. And they start developing those things that are outside of their core value proposition. I'm not talking about those innovation projects, but just those standards that they believe, oh, we are so successful, we can do everything better than the other people. And then they fail and lose a lot of money and energy. And usually those initiatives results in a sunk cost like after 2 or 3 years. So I really don't know why. And I saw many, many examples of that. So I really believe that every company should focus on developing their things that they're unique for, how they created their like customers and they're best at. All other things, if you can buy on the market, just do that.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, great to hear. There's another challenge that I wanted to discuss with you. I find that a lot of CTOs are having trouble with explaining why they need to do deeply technical stuff. It's called solving technical debt. That I don't write the sentence, but okay, sometimes you need to do some technical work just to prepare yourself better for the future. I find that a lot of CTOs find it very hard to convince and to explain to their peers at the C-level why they should do that and why they should spend time with it. Like we said earlier, you always make the calculation, what does it cost and what is it in revenue? Solving these things is not necessarily or not immediately visible as extra revenue. Have you any tips on approaching that or tackling that issue?
Yes, that is also a very good philosophical question. There is no simple answer on that, of course, but I can share my experience and how I usually work with that. First, I think it's very important for other people to understand the tech debt, that we define that in a good way, because there are different categories of tech debt. It can be old technologies, or it can be a result of merger and acquisitions, that company bought another company and you need to merge the products and they're not aligned from technical perspective. It can result also from those sales-driven organizations that does not check anything with the tech team. They just sign the contract and then tech team must suffer and develop things. So first, I think just presenting that different categorization or different types of tech debt, it helps other people to understand why we ended up in this situation. Then also the fact, as I said, technology develops so quickly. Every code that we write today, it's almost legacy already tomorrow, So that you need constantly to modernize your architecture. But my recommendation is also when you define when you classify your tech debt and try to see there are different types, maybe just bad style of coding, or it was result because we tried to integrate some old system and so on, to see what are solutions. Is it enough that we just encapsulate that component, bring the wrapper, to see what is business critical and what we can do with? Maybe there is one-off solution, we need to maintain that forever, but it does not cost us too much. Maybe we should not focus on that. But for business critical things, then, like what I usually tell to other people, show examples how it slows down the future development. That like you cannot build, and usually I use a metaphor from like building houses, and that type of architecture. If you started with a bad architecture, you cannot build the layers on that. And in Sweden, there is one very great example that I can use because Swedish people knows that very well. Sweden had one very famous Swedish king, Gustav Vasa, who lived during the 16th century. And he wanted to have the biggest and more powerful boat in the world, so ship. So they built that ship like architect designs, and it was a lot of layers and, you know, but then he examined that and he said, oh, it's not big enough. I want to have one extra floor with just the canyons that are very heavy. And they tried to explain to him, it's going to sink, you know, it's not architecturally good design. But he said, no, I want to have that. So they built the extra floor with the canyons. And of course, when the ship started his first journey, it sank. So usually I use that metaphor that you need to think, and for some like advanced features, you cannot just build on the existing architecture. You need to refactor and prepare your architecture for building new things.
I'm going to look that up, Gustav's ship.
Yes, it's a very famous example. And what is interesting, many years, like a couple of 100 years later, they didn't know where it went down exactly, but then they found it. And now they build a new museum where you can see the whole old ship and all details about bad architecture. So maybe we should send all business people to visit that museum to understand that you cannot just build feature on feature, that you need to rework, modernize, refactor your architecture between building new features on it.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to take a holiday to Sweden then. Another thing that I think we could discuss is how can sometimes companies say, yeah, we have to be innovative. We have to do some innovation or something. How involved should the CTO be in that? How involved are you in your company and in that?
Yes, I will tell you my perspectives on innovation, because I think, and that innovation management, I think it's really very interesting and very, actual topic. First, since I'm an engineer, I don't believe only in brainstorming ideas. I believe in those systematic approaches to innovation. And I think with those systematic approaches, we can reach pretty far. So what we can do from our technical perspective, first, we can take a look at all technical capabilities that we have at the company and see, is there any technical capability that we can convert into competitive advantage? Because it's also one candidate for a new feature on the market or new product on the market that no one else has. Also, another thing is like the whole working with the data. You know, data-driven innovation. I really believe in that, because we at the technical organization, usually it's responsible for data platform for everything that we do with the data. So working closely with the business people, with the marketing people that are like all that chain on collecting qualitative insights, quantitative data, combining them, trying to combine them and find the new opportunities on the market. It's exactly how it should be done. So I think that CTO should be working very closely both with the business people who are analyzing market opportunities, competitor analysis, position on the market, potential on the market. Also working with the marketing people who are usually working closely with the customers, collecting those insights. Because we are the owners of the data and we know how we can use the data and combine with the other insights bake them together, applies a lot of those systematic approaches to innovation and trying to find new opportunities on the market.
Okay. So you should be involved, but you also should even try to initiate it. This is what I'm hearing now.
Yes, I usually do that. I usually do that. I don't know if it is the only consequence of my big interest in innovation. And I found some very good methodologies and frameworks that help you how you can systematically collect your data, analyze them, combine with the insights, with the market opportunities. But I think why it can belong to CTO, both because the whole data platform and data, how we build our data pipelines, it's within engineering teams. But also, since we, by default, if you're an engineer, usually you have that analytic approach to things. So you're not just dreaming, but then you usually create a systematic, good plan how you can do that. So I think it's also, because usually, and I think maybe it's an interesting point, many people think that there are some other people who should explore new possibilities on the market, those visionary. But I think just having a vision without a good plan how to go there, you're just a dreamer. You're never going to execute and produce anything useful. So that's why I would like to involve more engineering brains, because usually we have those systematic analytic approaches and can build those models that can result in a new innovative products or features or possibilities on the market.
Okay. But you still have to check with the other people if it's a good idea what you're building. Because if you let me do, then I start building very nice stuff that I like to build, but it's not necessarily valuable.
Of course. No. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it's okay that even tech people initiate that process, but of course, all domains needs to be involved. I'm just saying that at some companies, I've heard that when I try to initiate it, they said, "Oh, but you are like a CTO. It should come from a CPO or Chief Marketing Officer." I said, no, it doesn't matter who initiated the process. Even we can initiate and start with that. Everything should not be top down. It can be initiated bottom up and we can say we have those technical capabilities. Can you help us how we can convert them in competitive advantages? So you can combine both bottom up and top down approach.
Yeah, makes sense. Now, something that we tackled in the beginning, but maybe we can turn around, can come back to it. To be a technical leader, what does that mean? Because you said, there are several levels. Either you're managing or you're leading people who code, but then you start to lead leaders. How does technical leadership work? What does it mean at your level? Because I can imagine that you're not programming anymore and probably have a hard time installing a database at this point. So what does technical leadership mean?
Yes, for me, technical leadership includes first understanding about business, as I already mentioned, not only that we know how to use those management words and terminology, but also understand what business expects from us. So I really believe that when you're on the higher level, you need to understand other domains, and then you propose the best technical solution for that. Because even when I was a programmer, developer, and even when I'm CTO, I still have the same goal. How I can produce my software product, which creates the biggest value for customers. So in order to understand that, CTO needs to understand the business requirements and part of how business works. And also that I mentioned also what is core value proposition. So in order to make good technical decisions. Also, we need to understand and lead and develop our people, because at many IT software development companies, engineering companies, the most valuable assets are developers and engineers, right? So our important task is to develop them so that they stay at the company, and then that they learn something new and that they feel that they have that personal development. One very interesting thing with that is also to enable career path for technical people. I see at many companies that the only way how you can develop yourself is to become manager. And it's completely wrong, because all people does not want to become managers, and they should not be managers. Maybe their strengths lies somewhere else. So usually, coming back to my circles, technology, product, business, and leadership, usually I'm thinking maybe there are technical people who would like to learn more about product and become, for example, technical product owners or solution architects. So they're not managers, but they're growing within their technical area or something else. So I think it's so important for any tech manager, but especially for CTO, to assure that we have not only managerial path, but also that specialist tech growth career. Otherwise, they're not going to stay. And of course, we all know there are a lot of bad consequences if someone who does not want to become a manager, does not care about leadership, becomes, because it's the only way how he or she can grow within the organization. And I also think it's not only strengths and what people are interested in, but also here different from psychological, I don't know, character perspective. You have people who are more generalist and people who are more specialists. And world, we need both sides. So I would say that people who are more generalists would like to understand the big picture, how everything is connected to each other. They should develop maybe to become CTOs. But people who are more specialists would like to go deeply in their areas. They should stay specialists. And I worked at some companies where specialists had even better salaries than managers. And I think it's perfectly okay. And usually at many companies, if you need to list key employees, like if they leave, the company will fail. Usually those 3 or 5 key people, they're specialists, not generalist managers. But of course,
I can imagine, yeah.
Yes, but don't you agree?
Yeah, I was thinking, maybe, I think when the CTO leaves, or when the CTO is expected to leave, then I think the company can usually continue for a couple of months, years maybe. But if the one guy who knows the architecture leaves, or knows how everything is configured, then there's a problem.
Yes, and
I understand.
Yes, there is one definition. What is a good leader? Not only within tech, but we can apply that here. It's a leader who organizes their teams, set the strategies, structures, processing in that way that even if he or she leaves, everything will continue working well. So I think that, and I think if you're a leader, in fact, you should aim for that, to create such an environment which are where people are motivated and which results in success.
For me, that's one of that's the most that's the goal. I think that's the goal that every CTO should have, is to make him or herself obsolete or not necessary anymore. Redundant, maybe something like that. Not necessary anymore. And I think that it's my way of coaching. If somebody is how far somebody is in being a CTO in the growth path, is can you leave on holiday for 14 days without your laptop, without bringing your laptop? A lot of times the answer is no. I don't want to do that. The CTOs who say I can do that, you see that okay, they are relaxed, they are confident in their team, they know that everything will work even if they are not there, so they can leave their laptop at home also.
Exactly.
I'm most happy a couple of months ago, some CTO told me, for the first time since we met, I left my laptop at home when I went on holiday. I was so happy of him. It was great.
Yes, but it means that he reached pretty far. It's really good.
Yeah. It's a stage that you have to go through, of course. But okay. I also agree that, like you said, everybody is different. Not everybody should become a CTO. The previous podcast was about was with the CTO who has become an individual contributor. Has returned to that position because he liked it much better than being a CTO. And I think it's also something that a lot of CTOs should think about, or people who want to become a CTO. Yeah, it's not the pinnacle of the career. It's not the end goal of everything.
No, definitely. And I think it's really good example. And I think that all of us should, like, we have a different period in life that you're aiming for something, then you achieve that goal, and then you think, what is next, what I want. So it's perfectly okay that you change the roles or change the, assignments, or like by doing one role, you realize it's not what I want to do. I want to do something else. So it's really perfect. Okay. But as I'm saying, we who are currently leaders, we should enable their different career path and also see potential in people and coach them and see many people don't know what they want to do. So that's why we are here to help them, how they can develop their potential, which roles are set up for success for them, not for failure, and, try to find that what they can just flourish, which type of roles or assignments.
I agree. Thank you very much for all the insights, Mina. Is there any parting thoughts, something that you want to, that I didn't ask you yet and that you want to share with the CTOs?
Yes, I can share one general quote by philosopher Seneca the Older.
He wasn't a CTO, eh? That's been...
No, but it's much more when you ask me about other things, because I think sometimes CTO believes my responsibility is just tech, so they don't dare to take more responsibility or to learn about other things because they believe it's by default just being responsible for tech. So I would like to say that it's really good to be curious, good to learn other domains, because it will help you to find a better solution even within your domain. So about doing other things, even learning business language and business domain, Seneca said, it's not because things are difficult that we don't dare. It's because we don't dare, things become difficult. So I think you should dare doing things that are outside of your comfort zone, outside of your main responsibilities, because when you start exploring new things and see how they can be combined with your primary domain, usually it's the way when innovation happens.
Nice parting thought. Thank you very much, Mina, for taking the time for sharing your insights. Like I said, I'll be taking a holiday to Sweden, so I hope we can meet there.
Yes, definitely. And I will bring you to visit the Vasa Museum to see that Gusta Vasa ship.
Yeah, sure. And if you ever come to Belgium, let me know. We go visit something here. There are probably some engineering mistakes here to visit also.
And it was really very nice talking to you.
Thank you very much, Mina. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Fijn dat je naar de Software Captains podcast luisterde. Ik hoop dat je er iets uit opgestoken hebt. Als je verder wilt praten over de uitdagingen die je CTO tegenkomt, heb ik een bijzonder aanbod voor jou. Tijdens een 1-op-1 gesprek kan je me alles vragen wat je altijd al wou weten over de job van CTO. Het kan over alle onderwerpen gaan die in de podcast aan bod komen, maar ook over alles wat je van mij leest op LinkedIn, op de blog of op de mailinglist. Normaal kost zo'n adviesgesprek €250. Maar als trouwe luisteraar van de Software Captains podcast krijg je daar 20% korting op. Wat moet je daarvoor doen? Ga naar softwarecaptains.be/adviesgesprek en vermeld de podcast. That's it. Als je dat doet, spreek elkaar gauw. Tot binnenkort.